Today is a great day for the people of Africa. That the people of Africa today and their presidents and heads of government will arrive in Addis Ababa for the 36th Ordinary Heads of State and Government Summit. This annual summit that takes place every year brings about discussions that have affected Africa. I am not myself attending because I took an oath never to attend the African Union summits. I want to remind you that I've been attending the summits since it changed, and before it changed, when it was OAU, I attended almost all the summits. But since Dr. Muhammad Faki took part in an election engineered by Morocco, paid logistically by Morocco, supplied logistically by Morocco, equipped logistically by Morocco, influenced an election that brought in Dr. Muhammad Faki as the chairperson of African Union. I decided not to attend any of the summits until his tenure of office ends and he leaves African Union Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, as I speak to you today, our continent of Africa is littered with conflicts. We have failed to silence the gun in 2020. Our aim, we are promising in 2016 that by 2020, the guns on the continent of Africa will be silent. Instead, ladies and gentlemen, these guns have not been silent. These guns have continued to make more noise, more loud noise on our continent. From Libya, Somalia, Central African Republic, Sahel region, Democratic Republic of Congo, Mozambique, guns have been roaring, making more and more noise. The African Union, is it beneficial, or it has been part and parcel of the disintegrating systems that we see in Africa? Today, as I address you, the Democratic Republic of Congo is on fire. I am not a head of state. I'm purely an activist, a great Pan-Africanist who wants to see a better, peaceful Africa. I want to see an Africa that has its own resolve. It has the means to resolve the conflicts that kill this continent. Africa is a continent endowed with resources, but Africa is not a continent that can utilize the resources. An external hand has captured the African Union Commission. Most of you will remember the elections of Democratic Republic of Congo. The African Union sent observers and monitors of this election in Democratic Republic of Congo. we spent huge amounts of money. The African Union Commission Chairman, Dr. Mahamat Faki, in his letter to all heads of state and governments on the African Union, our continent, addressed everybody in Africa not to recognize the elections of Mr. Tshisekedi. I want to bring this example as an example of failure of administrative qualities of the chairperson of African Union. How do you send millions and millions of dollars, observers spending weeks and months in the tropics of Congo to observe elections, to monitor elections, give you a report, then you write to us 2 days after they have returned that we should not recognize the report when you recognize the report when they return? That is one. Two, the conflict in Libya. As you speak today, the Libyan conflict is one of those that makes every African cry. I weep every morning when I hear, I see, I watch on television the killings that take place in Libya. The killings that are authorized. I can call it authorized by the African Union. The African Union knows these people who are killing the people of Libya. General Khalifa Haftar is sponsored by Egypt and France to destroy Libya in Benghazi. The African Union is aware of this fact. We recognize the government in Tripoli as a recognized government after the killing of Gaddafi under Resolution 1970 of the United Nations Security Council, which allowed Sarkozy to roll bombs on Libya and use the money of Gaddafi to campaign for his elections in France. He destroyed Libya. We allowed Gaddafi, we left Gaddafi to die. Gaddafi might not have been 100% a person. Every human being has faults. But why did we kill Libya then? Why do we leave a country begging? Children not going to school. Terrorists walking around Libya, the Maghreb, the entire Mediterranean Sea full of terrorists. What happened to us? This lecture opens your eyes, students of African politics, and those who will pick this clip today. Mine is to speak the truth, but nothing but the truth. If you have any problem, ask me and God, or ask God to ask me. I have nothing to fear because I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid of an Africa which is disintegrating under the auspices of Dr. Mahamat Faki as the chairperson. As we speak today, the Ottoman Empire, Turkey, the French, France, UAE, Egypt, Italy, and other countries have divided Libya. They are busy taking Libyan money, oil, and other minerals that they find in that great country. Illegally, they are pumping oil to their reservoirs in Paris and other places. Is this the African Union we want? As heads of state gather in Addis Ababa, What is on plate for them? What can they do to resolve this stalemate of Libya? Why can't we be determined to say enough is enough? Why do we gather for Photoshop photos, photograph sessions, and return to our countries? We leave a country bleeding. The next episode, number 3, I'm trying to show you the failures of African Union Chairperson, Dr. Mahamat Faki. Sometime in 2021, rebels from South Libya attacked Chad, the country where Dr. Mahamat Faki comes from. Over 3,000 rebels trained by Egypt and General Khalifa Haftar and France and others attacked the Republic of Chad, killed the president of Chad, Idris, General Idris, killed in cold blood. We lost a president on the African continent. The people who killed the president came out openly and told us they had killed him. The French and the France ran quickly to African Union, where Dr. Mahamat Faki is the chairperson, installed the son of Idris, who had been elected. Whatever, don't tell me whether elections were a sham, it was an election. The president of this country was killed when he had been elected. We had recognized General Idris Deby as the president of Chad. Mr. Mahamat Faki, with his conspiracies, did not bring this matter of killing a president, a sitting president, killing him, leaving him dead, burying him. You stole the son and then you forget about it. And yet we know the people who came to kill the president. Is this the Africa we want? Ladies and gentlemen, the answer to that is no. This is not the Africa we want. Dr. Mahamat Faki did not explain to the world why General Idris Deby was killed by rebels whom we know are funded by Egypt, who have said they are in southern Libya, who are now negotiating in Qatar. How do we negotiate with people who have killed a president, a sitting president? You can disagree with the president of any country, but once he's democratically elected, supported by the court, you can't kill him. You can't come and kill him on cold blood and go around and say African Union were forgotten. Chad, you are right. No condemnation. This continued up to today. I hear of a peace process conducted by Qatar, the usual friend, so-called friend of Africa, whose human rights records stinks, but it wants to come to solve problems in Africa because it has got the money, which we don't have, because it wants to take our oil. We want to take our minerals in Congo. It wants to join the Congo process in order to frustrate it on behalf of France. It wants to change the Congo process like it did in Mozambique. It has now bought all the Mozambican total oil proceeds and all the wells in Mozambique. Qatar, Qatar, Qatar. It is up to you, Africans, to listen to these facts. Why should we suffer? Total Oil took over the province of Cape Delgado. you know there was no conflict in Mozambique. Most of you will wonder why the conflict was there. Where did it come from? These two companies, Qatar, whenever you see Qatar, believe me or not, you will see France. Whenever you see Total Oil, you will see Qatar. And the people who are doing the peace process in Congo, be careful. Be extremely careful. Careful that Qatar should not be allowed to take part in our peace process. That is an African solution for Africans, with Africans, by Africans. Let me move over to Somalia. The process of Somalia is painful. The UN, the AU have been involved in Somalia for a long time. From 1991, Somalia has posed a problem to the people of East Africa and the Horn of Africa. Kenya has suffered the pain of terrorism. Uganda has suffered the pain of terrorism. Ethiopia has suffered the pain of terrorism. Djibouti and all other states that are involved in the peacekeeping and the peacemaking in Somalia. Again here, someone in the African Union Commission has allowed external forces, external countries, namely Qatar, to take charge of the central part of the administration under President Farmajo. Qatar played a pivotal role to cause chaos in the region of the Horn of Africa. We almost went to war. Some countries almost went to war. I was in the ICJ in The Hague when I was following out the Kenya-Somalia boundary dispute in the Indian Ocean. The number of the Qatar diplomats that were in there paying bills for Somalia, Somali delegation. I took all the photographs, their papers, every video. I have them. You can see how Qatar was influencing to create a conflict in the Indian Ocean when we have lived together for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, Somalia's problem lies in a political solution. You cannot resolve the conflict when you yourselves are not honest. I'm coming to the point of why Africa faces the challenges. My lecture pins on challenges that Africa faces. Africa faces challenges. The problem of Somalia needs the head, the heart, and the stomach. For those who are solving this problem, and those who intend to solve the conflict, any conflict on African soil, first look at the three factors: the head, the heart, and the stomach. If the stomach is not feeding, we shall have terrorists. If the heart is not determined to take what the nation wants, to remove ourselves from terrorism, we shall have terrorists. If the brain is not thinking properly, you are being radicalized to go and kill and maim people. We must first educate people in order to stop, to give knowledge, to give the stomach, the food, the alternatives. What is the alternatives of war? The alternatives of war is a redemption strategy. Why do Somali younger generation go to join Al-Shabaab? They have no employment. Let's create employment. Let's create employment in the Indian Ocean, fishing, for example. The AU should be bringing suggestions. We can create fishing refrigerated containers to give to the younger generation in groups, in circles, in groups, small groups, community, cooperative groups. They can go to fish, to sell the fish to the bigger countries that come to take the fish in the Indian Ocean. You would have solved the problem of employment. People would be earning. And in exchange of that, we would ask them to bring all the AK-47s. For every 250 AK-47s you bring, you get a 20-feet container. It will remove you from terrorism. You go and earn a living, pay school fees for your children. You won't look for a terrorism sales to give you the money. That are practical examples that African Union Commission should bring, other than if we can't increase the troops on the ground, if we can't put the boots on the ground. Kenya has done it very well. The southern part of Kismayo, congratulations to Kenya. In sector 1, there is still a problem. But congratulations to Kenya and Kismayo for the part they have played, because they have educated people. They are changing lives of people. They are building toilets, they are building schools, they are building classrooms, they are building roads. That is solving a conflict in the entire world. If you want to solve it, the head, the heart, and the stomach, those three go together. Ladies and gentlemen, African Union, has it helped us? Is it beneficial to Africans on the continent? Or it has helped us in disintegrating the very Africa that we want united? Is African Union a union or a disunity of groups, of countries that only come for a photo and go back, start quarreling the following morning? I have laid down the 4 examples. Let me come down to the problems that hinder the removal of conflict. The theme of my lecture today on African Union is called the resolution of conflicts on the continent. I will be bringing several themes as starting from today about African Union. Each time I will be bringing a different theme. Today, the main theme is conflict. How do we resolve conflicts on the African continent? How do we make Africa peaceful? How do we secure the borders of Africa without fights? We need 3 things. Every time African leaders make their speeches, they talk about Singapore. 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 But none of them can explain it to us how Singapore arrived there. Singapore arrived there through 3 factors. 1, meritocracy. 2, pragmatism. 3, honesty. I'll use the honesty tag on the question of conflicts in Africa. I have already explained to you that the conflict in Africa, the one of Libya, AU is dishonest. France is dishonest. And France is a member of the United Nations Security Council, permanent member. But it is dishonest. Why is it dishonest? It doesn't tell us why it has taken part of Libya in Benghazi and does not want to support the government in Tripoli. Let me come to Congo. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation in Democratic Republic of Congo lacks honesty. And I want to loud this very clear so that the world hears me. If I fall on the way, that any of you who are watching me and listening to me on the Twitter space, very many of you, millions, will pick my message to tell you that Congo's conflict is there because people are dishonest. The government is dishonest. The neighbors of Congo themselves, 9 of them, are dishonest. The rebels themselves are dishonest. That's what we have in Congo. You cannot resolve a conflict. And I pity my great friend. We shall support him, His Excellency, the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Count on my support of talking frankly. The problem cannot be resolved when the leaders of Congo themselves are not honest. The problem cannot be resolved when the neighbors are not honest. And the problem cannot be resolved when the rebels themselves don't tell us where they get the arms to fight. Who gives them the food? Do they collect food from the gardens? Do they get those big guns from where? If you are coming on table to discuss the Congo crisis, why then don't you tell the mediator that it is so and so who gives me the guns? How will the mediator resolve the conflict when you are not telling who gives you the guns? The government of Congo itself has got some rebel groups that it supports. Why is it not being honest? Why doesn't Tshisekedi come out honest to say that I have 132 rebel groups on my soil? Out of these rebel groups, the former governments used to support some against the neighboring countries. There are some rebel groups in DRC Congo that operate under auspices of the government of DRC Congo. And Africa, if you don't have another Nyerere like Matanga, I've taken Nyerere's tongue. I speak like a Nyerere. My voice almost goes like a Nyerere. I grew up admiring Nyerere. I grew up looking at his talk. I admired him. I grew up in the 50s, 60s. In the last part of 50, I was born. When Nyerere was speaking, I knew 60, 70. I watched him. He speaks without reservation. And I will say it without reservation. You can hate me, but one day you will know that I am speaking the truth. The truth is, the stakeholders in the Congo conflict are not honest. Both the rebels, the government surrounding Congo, and the government of Congo itself. It's high time they are told and called out to begin being honest in order to resolve this conflict. The Rwanda Peace Accord or communique headed by my relative from Rwanda, from Angola, His Excellency, the President of Angola. Thank you very much. You played a part, but I told you, I warned you that these guys just tell lies. They are not sincere. All of them, they come on table. The rebels will not tell you who gives them the arms. Neither will the people meeting you on table tell you that we also arm these rebels to go and kill innocent people in the region. Another factor that if you are developed, next time when you are making your speech about Singapore, be careful when I'm hearing in the audience, I will challenge you. Singapore developed because it had honest people. It never employed relatives. It never employed cronies. They never went on this side to beg money at night. and then come this way, beg money at night. No, they were pragmatic. The Prime Minister said it all. Those who will hear this speech will also understand that the Prime Minister said if he was to go to the grave and he heard that somebody was eating, corruptly taking money of Singapore, he will wake up and fight that person. Ladies and gentlemen, I have given enough examples. I can go back to Mozambique. But let me come back to the Sahel region, where Boko Haram in Nigeria has taken 3/4 of the northern part of Nigeria, where people are being kidnapped, assassinated, killed, raped, defiled, women abducted on a daily basis. People are telling me that Nigeria is going to elections. Which elections is this that Nigeria will produce on 25th or 26th of February next week? Which type of elections will this be? A country with no power to generate those BVR machines that give votes, that give your identification before you vote. The Africa we want. What? Who caused the conflict in the Sahel region? Almost all the countries, north of the countries in the Sahel region, from West Gambia, you saw a coup almost taking place in Gambia, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Senegal, Burkina Faso, Guinea Conakry, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Chad, Cameroon, Sudan, up to the Red Sea. The conflict has eaten almost everything. What can African Union do to make sure that this conflict does not escalate? One of the things that destroys my heart every time I stand anywhere to speak is the issue of Cameroon. In 1961, a resolution 1608 of United Nations General Assembly recommended a referendum that Cameroon, Abazonia, be given a state, English-speaking state of its own. The world has forgotten how Cameroon, the killings that have taken place 6 years. I have been on this for a long time. Catholic bishops killed by the government of Paul Biya. Paul Biya rules the country from Switzerland in a hotel. Paul Biya is not able to lead this country to reconciliation. Why has African Union not brought a motion, an agenda to discuss the problem of Abazonia? That is beyond a local problem. It is an international problem because we have international refugees flowing in all countries, in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania, in South Africa. Cameroonians are running away from Paul Biya. Is this the Africa we want? Why is there no agenda today in the AU as we sit down here in the AU, no agenda on Cameroon? The problem is the biggest one. Dr. Muhammad Faki, a friend of Paul Biya. How many times has he visited Yaoundé? Several. He gets presents. He's awarded, we don't know how much. He goes back and keeps quiet without pressurizing the government of Yaoundé to discuss with Amazonians to find an amicable solution for the conflict in Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, blood there is flowing. We are now gathering ourselves. Why has I come to the last part of my lecture? Why has the African Union Commission failed to condemn French-speaking countries or to condemn Cameroon, for example? Let me use Cameroon. Because they have been pocketed, captured by the French. The French are busy taking the oil in Yaoundé. They have no point, they don't point human rights. They have put sanctions. They put sanctions on countries like Zimbabwe, my Zimbabwe, which they kill every day. Sanctions killing the people of Zimbabwe. But the French have never advocated for sanctions against Paul Biya. Why? African Union has joined the wagon, they dine together, they eat together. Ladies and gentlemen, our African Union is captured by an external force which determines if you want to hold an election in AU today, because some people might think I'm talking lies. Put there two candidates, one from Uganda like me, and another one from one of the countries, they say, in West Africa with the French leaning. The French countries will unite to make sure that the candidate who comes from ECOWAS and the other friendly countries of French pass. Morocco will come with money. The last thing that annoys me is the question of Polisario Front. I want to tell Morocco I support Polisario Front. You can go to Angel Gabriel and ask him. I will never support Morocco in any endeavor on the continent of Africa. As long as they have sat on the independence of the people of Polisario, my stand is with the people of Polisario. The Western Sahara needs its independence. Morocco is a surrogate, a proxy element on African Union. I don't know why we allowed it back into our AU. It had gone away. Why did it come back? To use money, to buy people, to buy countries, to give favors, incentives, in order to destroy democracy and to create insecurity on the continent of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, as I landed the mic to give the people opinion and to give my co-host the authority to run and speak about these problems that we see in African Union and how best we can resolve the African Union debacle. African Union Commission has let us down. It has created the chaos that we see in most of the parts of Africa. It has done a few good things, especially on infrastructure. It has encouraged infrastructure to grow. It did very well on COVID-19. I give credit where it is due, but it has done very badly on conflicts and resolving the conflicts. I land my mic and I want to thank everybody who has been here, who wants to be part and a parcel of this discussion, that you are welcome to be part and a parcel of this discussion.